Yes, I am wearing a Tyler Herro Whitnall high school jersey. I guarantee you don't know anybody else that has this jersey, just a freak like me. But I wanted to wear it because it represents the next team in the previews, the Miami Heat. Last season, an interesting year for the Heat, finished 46-36, eighth in the East, made the play-in tournament. They lost to Philly in that first round, but ended up beating the Chicago Bulls to get in that first round matchup versus the Boston Celtics. We all know how that went. Jimmy Butler missing that series as he got hurt in the play-in tournament. Heat losing in 5 games to the Boston Celtics, who obviously went on to win the whole damn thing. Normally we see this Miami Heat team playing at a high offensive rate. Last year they were 26th in the league, scoring only 110 points per game, but they were safe with the ball. They turned the ball over the 4th least amount of times in the NBA. And defensively, the team stepped up big time and was a big key to its success last year. 108.4 points per game opponents were scoring. That was 3rd in the NBA, while holding opponents to 35% three-point shooting. A very good spot for the Heat to look back on last year and hopefully to continue going forward into this year. Jimmy Butler, first guy we're going to look at on the Miami Heat, played 60 games last year. As I mentioned, he missed the first round playoff series versus the Celtics. He injured his knee. Should be ready to go for the regular season. You saw him on media day. Didn't do anything crazy. Signing a new contract. He wants to be in Miami, and he's not fooling around this year. He's all business and said he's going to do whatever he can for this team to be successful. Last year, he averaged 20.8 points per game while shooting 41.4% from 3, a career high for him. He only took about 2 per game. Not a high volume three-point shooter, does a lot of work in the mid-range and getting to the rim. But if he can shoot threes, he's going to be very dangerous. To go along with that scoring, he also averaged 5 rebounds and 5 assists per game. I mean, he does it all on the floor for Miami. He plays hard every single game. That's why so many people are fans of him. And I think he's definitely going for blood this season. If this roster stays healthy, they're capable of getting into the playoffs, making a playoff run, and I think we're going to see a new stepped-up version of Jimmy Butler this season. The boy, Tyler Herro, he's already in his 6th year in the NBA, and he's only 24 years old. I mean, I think his ceiling, he could be talked about as one of the best offensive players in the NBA. We saw peaks of that last season. He got hurt and was limited to 42 games, but he set a career high of 20.8 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, and a career high of 39.6% shooting from beyond the arc. I mean, he was dealing with injuries last year. His team wasn't super good, and he was still putting up these type of numbers. I especially like the assist numbers. He had a couple double-doubles last season, but everybody knows Tyler Herro can shoot. Him and Duncan Robinson, a great 1-2 punch to have out there on the perimeter. But we saw Herro take over some ball handling duties throughout the regular season and especially in the playoffs, putting up 4.5 assists per game. That's a great number for him. I don't think it's going to be as high this season, especially with Jimmy Butler being healthy and now Terry Rozier having a full year in Miami, but a good year last year for Herro. He just tried to play hero ball, pun kind of intended, last year in the playoffs. Just didn't work out, and I mean, Boston Celtics were ridiculously good, so there's no chance they were winning that series. But expecting another solid year out of Herro going into 2025. Bam Adebayo, talked about as one of the best defenders in the league, definitely one of the better defending centers in the league. Not the biggest guy either, but for his size, he can handle the ball, super athletic. Put up 19.3 points per game last year, 3.9 assists, which is the number I like to look at for Bam, because there's some times where Butler, Herro, Rozier, Robinson, they play off the ball. They let their big guy bring the ball down the floor and run the offense, and he's very capable of doing that and just a fun player to watch at that 5 position. Set a career high with 10.4 rebounds per game. Again, he's only like 6'9", 6'10". Good using his body down low, always gets in the right positions, over 10 rebounds per game. Him and Jimmy Butler love playing together. You can see it when they're out there on the floor. And just another crucial piece to this Miami team. 0.9 blocks, 1.1 steals per game. He was a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year last year. Rudy Gobert winning that. Wembanyama coming in second. I mean, tough guys to compete with, but Bam always gets it done on the defensive side for the Heat. Terry Rozier last year coming over from the Hornets. He played 31 games with the Heat. He was acquired in late January, and he was a bright spot for Miami as well. 16.4 points per game, 4.6 assists per game, 4.2 rebounds while shooting 37% from three. I mean, he's a guard that can do it all. Solid in Boston, solid in Charlotte. We saw it in a short time with Miami. I think that was a low-key good pickup for Miami. They lost Kyle Lowry. He's now on the 76ers. Terry Rozier is just a pure point guard. He can handle the ball, shoot, play a little bit of defense, rebound. He's smart, now becoming a veteran player. A good spot for Miami to be at with this starting lineup. I think that the Miami Heat needs to get deeper. They need more depth on the bench. They went out and tried to do that in the offseason by the way of the draft. Drafted Khalil Ware out of Indiana, the 15th pick overall. Played his first year of college ball at Oregon and then took a huge leap forward last year with Indiana. 7 foot, 240. I mean, perfect frame for a power forward / center. At Indiana, averaged 15.9 points per game, shooting 58.6% from the field, 9.9 rebounds, which ended up being second in the Big Ten behind Zach Edey, and 1.9 blocks per game, also one of the best in the Big Ten. He was on the Big Ten all-defensive team, rightfully so. I mean, you drive in the paint, he's playing volleyball with the basketball. He is super athletic, a great rim protector, and a fantastic lob finisher. Whereas I think the Miami Heat, going into the draft, he wasn't really on anybody's radar for him going to the Heat, but I mean, they need more depth, and he's a young, super exciting player with a lot of upside. I think his ceiling is super high. We saw him in preseason shooting threes. If he can lock up a good three-point shooting performance in his career, he's going to have a great career, whether it's with the Miami Heat or somebody else. But I think low-key, good draft pick for the Heat. They also took Pell Larson, guard out of Arizona. Really, his thing is decision-making. I think he's a good passer, but outside of that, not a great defender, not a great three-point shooter, not a super athletic guard. So I think he's going to spend time in the G League because the Heat are more guard-heavy than front-court-heavy players. So I think Larson will spend most of his time in the G League. We'll see him in the NBA at times, but I don't see him being super effective. Going back to Ware in the Summer League, he played 6 games. Got to touch on this because he did a fantastic job. 6 games in the Summer League, 18 points per game, 61.8% field goal percentage, 7 rebounds per game. I think he's off to a great start. We saw a couple preseason games with him, blocking shots, finishing lobs, hitting threes, as I mentioned. So a great start. I think he'll be coming off the bench for the Heat, mostly for that rim protection and maybe a little bit of a spark plug on the offensive side with some highlight reel plays. But good pickup for the Heat in the offseason. Player of the watch, second-year man out of UCLA, Jaime Jaquez Jr. I mean, he had a lot of highlight reel plays last season as well. He can play the 3, play the 4. And if you're an NBA fan, you know who this guy is. His appearance is pretty hard to forget. But he averaged 11.9 points per game, shot 48.9% from the field. That was 6th amongst rookies. Usually see that number with centers or forwards, as Victor Wembanyama and Derek Lively were ahead of him. 3.8 rebounds for Jaquez. He's trying to be a three-point shooter as well. Didn't shoot a high percentage last season, but I think he's capable of doing that. He's a hard worker. Big body, kind of has a weird body frame, but super athletic. He can handle the ball. I think he's going to play a huge role for the Heat this year. Could possibly, I think in a bet that I'm going to make, I'm going to have him winning 6th man of the year. I mean, as I said earlier, Heat team, not very deep. I think he's going to get a lot of minutes, and he's a very talented basketball player, so I could see him taking a big leap forward this season for the Heat. My overall prediction for Miami, the East is tough, very top-heavy. I'm not confident that they're going to make the playoffs. I think they'll probably end up being a play-in team as they were last season. But if they all stay healthy, I mean, this team can defend. I think the offense is going to be better with Duncan Robinson shooting the ball, Tyler Herro being healthy, Jaime Jaquez Jr. playing a lot off the bench. But I think they need more depth. Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, 2 great front office guys. I think by the midway point of the season, they're going to go out, make a big move. Not that they need like a really good player. They just need 2 or 3 better role players coming off the bench for them. But overall, the East is going to be tough. I'm going to say they're going to make the play-in, but definitely going to be fighting for that last play-in spot or second to last play-in spot come the end of the regular season.